And I guess before we even answer that question, why would that be worth it? Why would that be a good thing? I think a lot of times we just kind of just kind of keep pushing stuff off until you just got to do it. But sometimes it's worthwhile to create a little bit of sometimes it's worthwhile to create a little bit of margin. Billy was talking about stressful situations coming up. Sometimes we can alleviate stress by kind of being on top of a few things, not letting them overwhelm us. So think about something that you could do today that will save you some time tomorrow, give you a little bit of margin tomorrow. What might that look like? Rachel is here. Good morning, Rachel. It's good to see you again. Hope that you are doing well. Yeah, we're thinking about our day right now. So yeah, it's been a while since we've seen Rachel. I trust that your life is going all right. I hope that things are going well for you. Okay, good. All right we'll take it. We're kind of taking a look at our day today and thinking about, is it the case that you're so swamped with requirements for today that you don't even have the bandwidth to think about something that will make things easier later? It kind of plays with that idea of urgency versus importance. A lot of times it's the important things that make our lives easier tomorrow, whether that is actually tomorrow like Thursday or tomorrow like weeks, months, years from now. Tomorrow is sort of a broad category for the future, and the degree to which you can afford yourself the time to do the things that will make things easier. It kind of gives you a sense of how full your plate is and how much stress you got coming your way, right? So all right, Noble, as I thought he would say, I could spend time on adventuring today and not worry for tomorrow until the midnight reset. My day is important and full of adventures, to be boldly honest. I certainly understand that philosophy, and there is a way in which that, especially from a psychological and emotional sense, that makes a whole lot of sense. From a purely practical standpoint, there are a lot of things that you could do today. I guess because it's a day off, it's a little bit, What about food? Do you have to go and hunt every morning? Do you buy one meal at a time? Do you buy one bowl of cereal or one Mountain Dew, whatever? Or do you get a 6-pack? Because I might want one tomorrow and I don't want to have to walk all the way to the store to get it. So from a philosophical standpoint, I understand. And I'm not necessarily asking this question from a philosophical standpoint. I'm looking at a purely practical standpoint, because it could be the case, especially once you get back to work, that there are things that you don't have time to do. If you clean up today, if you clean the flat today, would it be helpful to not have to worry about that when you have to work? I mean, you know. So Billy says, I could get financial stuff figured out today. That way I don't have to do it tomorrow. Also, the reason you'd want to do it today is you to have less to do the next day. Yeah, I think the margin part is really what we're aiming at, because all of the most important things, the things that we don't have to do, are the things that we choose to do that we don't have to do, that are not pressing on us. Those are the things that kind of give our lives the richness. That's where all the art lives and all the creativity happens. There's nothing requiring of you to do the creative project that you want to work on. Nobody's going to make you do it. But the way that you carve out time for it is to carve out time for it, to get, you make that space. Like Billy says, so you have less on your plate. You have some white space to live into. So Joselle says, for me, it's doing morning tasks at night because I'm not a morning person. I'm trying to get better though. It's really useful to understand kind of how your body works. If you know that you're not going to be at your best when you first wake up, if there are ways that you can make your morning easier by preparing in advance some of the things that need to get done, just to give yourself a more peaceful start to your day, that's probably a smart way, so you don't start the day out in such a bad mood. Some of us need a little bit more time to crank up and warm up to whatever it is that we have going on. So give yourself that by taking a few minutes at night to get yourself situated, right? So PokeLink, thank you so much for the like. And thank you for being here. Also, welcome back, Tim and Hocus Pocus. We're talking about what you can spend time on today that'll save you time tomorrow. So, PokeLink EB says, I could fix this illegal usury loan. If you do that today, then that interest won't accumulate as much and you won't get your legs broke. Oh man, got to stay away from those sharks though, right? So Mez says, I'll do extra schoolwork since I have little else to do today. 6 hours instead of 3. 6 hours instead of 3. If you got time, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You never know what emergency might pop up, how you might be feeling. So it's good to have that little bit of a cushion, right? And if you enjoy it, all the better. Why not? Right? Why not? So Alexis says that wash our work uniforms. I'm not working next week, but Noble's outfit is in the washer right now, and he works Friday, so cleaning that today. Before we go out, we'll give it time to air dry. So that's thinking ahead, so we can let it hang for a day. Rod the Poet says, I can go ahead and work that double so I can have an extra day to do my own things. Have an extra day to do my own things. Sometimes we need huge blocks of time when we have to break up our free time into little chunks, sometimes it's difficult to make significant progress on our creative projects. It's good to know that we have a nice window where we won't be disturbed, where we can focus in, because all hours aren't equal. And, changing context, trying to sneak it into little nooks and crannies of time, sometimes that doesn't necessarily work for us. We need to situate ourselves so we can have some blocks to work with. Alien says, I'll be preparing for a future opportunity along with creating opportunities. That's what I'm about. So Hocus Pocus says, make the best efforts today to have a better future tomorrow. I guess that's a quote from Mr. Krabs. I guess. Davine, welcome in. Thank you for joining us. And welcome back, Joselle. Audio do be cutting out sometimes. I'm glad that you made it back in. All right. So some of us, for those of us who are interested in creating and having value, for those of us who value having that cushion, that margin, thinking about choosing to spend some time in investing in the person that you're becoming and creating the situation that you want, and delaying doing some work that's not going to pay off instantly, but it's going to build towards something later. How much of your time is reactive, specific to what's in front of you, and how much are you able to dedicate to longer term things? Someone anonymously says, study today, test tomorrow. There you go. Study today, test tomorrow. So Davine says, I'm going to make a healing program out of code. And you're going to do that today? We doing that today? Or is that just a general statement on what you're working on? Thank y'all so much for the likes. Keep those coming in. If y'all don't mind, before we get ready to go into the next prompt, go ahead and drop me some green hearts in the chat. Retha's listening in for a little while anyhow. All right. All right, we're going to get ready to go into the next little bit of our conversation. So this is sort of a question to give us an opportunity to kind of look at the way that we've changed. I said changed, not grown, because some of the changes might not necessarily equate to growth. But what would you say is the biggest difference between who you are now and then you're looking back to May 2021? So from May 2021 to May 2022, what's the biggest difference? What's the part that you think others would barely recognize about you? I know that we started doing morning journal in May 2021. And just doing this every day, every weekday, has definitely created a lot of change in me. But think about where you might have been in May 2021. What were your prospects? What were you looking forward to? What were you afraid of? What were you working on? How many of those things still are important to you now? Is there something that you are still working on that you just made more progress towards? There might have been some things that you were afraid of that you are no longer afraid of. Fears that you have gotten to the other side of. Or maybe there have been some things that happened that kind of really shook a lot of stuff up. Maybe there was some hurts that you had then that you couldn't imagine that you would have healed from, but here you are now and you survived it and you're stronger for it. So Quasha is here. Welcome in. It's good to see you this morning. So we're looking at the biggest difference between who you are now and who you were a year ago. You know, I'm curious if Quasha knows any Spanish other than the greetings, because I always get the greetings in Spanish, but then there's nothing else. I don't know. It's just a thought. I mean, it don't matter. More, yeah. Thank you so much for the likes. Unidentified has joined us. Welcome in, Unidentified. We're looking at those differences, how we've changed. So Quasha says, I've been an impulsive risk taker, trying to do what I enjoy. So maybe you were more risk, you were less risk tolerant last year. Now you out here trying stuff. What would you say is the most impulsive risk you've taken? Or what risk is on the table for you now that you wouldn't have imagined thinking about last year this time? So the biggest thing that you're thinking about now is quitting a job to get flexibility for your hobbies and to pick up your daughter from school? Wouldn't have thought of that before. All right. Mez says, a year ago, I was directionless, lacking the creativity and confidence I've gained since. I was definitely in freeze mode and never thought I'd get through the trauma I'd experienced. So Mez was frozen. But here you are. Here you are. So Miss has joined us. Toxic has joined us. Everybody watch out. There's poison in the chat. Be careful. So Noble Ancient says the biggest difference for me in comparison for last year is at this time is that I've learned so much about me in that time frame. I know myself better. I was introduced to MJ and G, and I've learned from here too. So thanks. All right. Forgotten is here. You heard you've learned, you've been introduced to MJ and G. I'm gonna have to introduce you to MJG and 8 Ball. I don't know. Forgotten has joined us. Good morning. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. You say, yeah, your subscription has expired. Yeah. Yeah. Tim says, I'm a bit different. I didn't wake up early. I stressed out with work. I didn't work out. And now I feel so much better. I feel so much better. Yeah. For Billy Hurley, what's changed the most? For me, I've changed by wanting to try and continue starting my adult life, and I learned a lot about relationships and dating. And it was a failed first time. I learned a lot in a short time. I think we do tend to learn a lot from our failures. If it didn't work out, there's lessons to take away from it. We're not living in an illusion. Sometimes we don't learn as much when it works out. A lot of times when things work out, we attribute it working out to the wrong things. You know, we tell a story about why it worked out that doesn't give us the real lesson in terms of what makes it work. But when it falls apart, we look real close. It's like, wow, you know, how can I fail better next time? Because, you know, it's inevitable that you'll fail at some of the things that you try. If you're not failing at things that you try, you're not daring greatly enough. You're probably playing it too safe if you never fail. But I guess the thing is, how can I fail better? How can I incorporate the lessons from the last time it didn't work into this one so we don't just keep repeating the same steps? Let's fail in a more elegant way, in a more interesting way. So, yeah. Ra the Poet has changed. Ra says, I'm more in tune with myself and the things I want. I've learned to value certain things above others. So, getting to know yourself and getting a better handle on what matters to you, getting more clarity on your values, that's a very great thing to take forward. So, Tim points out that Cage has a podcast on failure. If y'all aren't following Cage, you should, for sure. Cage is the chief resident of the Writers Room Discord and also the creative engine behind Cage's Cafe, which is the Writers Room, the source of the prompts for the Writers Room. But he has some podcasts here on Spoon that you should definitely check out, if for no other reason, just to hear what his voice sounds like. So, Miss says, what's changed about me is that I'm older. Well, there you go. I'm a year older, but also Anticipation of needs is a big one. Maybe you're better at anticipating needs than you were before. So, Kaloli is here. Thank you for being here, Kaloli. It's always good to see you. Sins, welcome in. Thank you for being here. We are taking a moment to think about the biggest difference between who you are now and who you were a year ago. So, Alien says it's just another year, considering my birthday is in May. Blessed solar return. I'd also like to add, I cut my locks last year to release unwanted energy. Hair's growing back nicely. Dready to be locked up. My hair is dready to be locked up. There you go. Well, happy birthday month. Chloe says, I read a journal entry from a year ago. My state of mind still seems to be the same. LOL. Hey. So I would say, thinking about how many days are skipped in that journal, right? So for forgotten months at a time, right? Forgotten says freedom is the biggest thing that's different now. I got freedom. Rachel says, I have learned to completely embrace myself. I've become in love with person I've become. And it's all thanks to these reflective moments in this live. Well, that's awesome to hear, Rachel. There's no better thing to do. There's no better journey, more profound journey of falling in love than the act of falling in love with yourself. So I'm glad that that is the journey that you are on, that you are embracing you and falling in love with the person that you are, and that you had some experiences here with us that helped along that journey. We certainly appreciate you. So a year ago, this is Alexis. The biggest difference for me is that I am more confident in who I am as a person. I have a new name now. I've learned more about myself. I advocate more for myself. I found my voice. So this is the year you found your voice. That's awesome. So there's sometimes there are journeys that you go on that are long. And maybe for some of us who feel like, well, my mindset is still pretty much where it was last year at this time, or you don't notice some of the changes. Sometimes all that's happened is that you've just turned in a slightly different direction. And some changes take place over a much longer span of time than just a year. But if nothing else, if you're looking in a new direction, If you're sensing new possibilities that you didn't see, it could be that you are doing that hidden part of growth, the part that you can't necessarily detect from the outside. So MO is here, SO is here. Thank you so much for joining us. We're talking about the biggest difference between now and a year ago. Someone shares anonymously that what's changed about me is that I have periods of intense anxiety and uncomfortableness due to recent experiences. So yeah, sometimes some of us have had a rough year and we're still healing from things that happened to us. And, we might be in a little bit of a dip now. We might be looking back and seeing that there were a lot of ways that you felt better than you are right now before. You might have been happier in some ways or felt more capable in some ways. But a lot of times when we are broken down by situations, when we heal back stronger. But it just takes time. And I'm glad that you are here and that you're reflecting on it. And I hope that you are holding on to the fact that time doesn't heal wounds. Healing is work. It doesn't just heal on its own. It's a process that you participate in, but it's a worthwhile process. So for Joselle says, I'm a year older and smarter than I've ever been before. With all the mistakes I've made over the past year, I just grow each time. Yeah. Growing. For Mo, the change is I've become a truly independent adult and definitely love myself more. I love myself more. That's great news. That's great news. All right. We're going to get ready to go into our next prompt. Oh, not so fast. Kaloli, because we're going in the request box. Who knew? Kaloli says, a year ago, I didn't know what I was feeling and in a way, suppressing emotions. This year, I am more aware of my emotions and slowly understanding myself. That's progress. Still working on myself. Kaloli's like, I got to get on that IG post. Everybody's doing it for the gram now. Let's not get performative now. You never know. We do occasionally recap some of the responses on IG. So the screen shooters ignore the chat sometimes. They don't catch everything in the chat, so you got to put it in a box so you can get that tag. So this is just the second prompt. So we're going to get ready to go into our next prompt. All right, so this next one is kind of looking at what might be on the horizon for you. What are you no longer satisfied with? What are you no longer satisfied with? So Rachel has to go open up. It's good to see you again, Rachel. I hope that you have a great rest of your Wednesday. Here we go. What are you no longer satisfied with? So Chovy is here. Esso says, I am no longer satisfied with being a workaholic zombie. I'm no longer satisfied with being a workaholic zombie. So that means go to sleep. Go to sleep. So Quasha says, I'm grateful, but not satisfied enough to settle for my income. I'm grateful, but I'm not settling. I hear you. So Tim says, I'm no longer satisfied with working, period. I don't know, Tim, when you trying to be kept? Are you trying to be kept? Is that the vibe? Alien says these prompts are making it real hard to be alien. It's bringing out the human in me. Billy Hurley says that I'm no longer satisfied with being single. I enjoy having someone to talk to, and honestly, I want to get back into dating because honestly, I don't know where I fit completely when it comes to dating, but I know I want some companionship. There you go. So I'm gonna get out there. Matt says, sounds confusing, but go for it. Hey, it is confusing. It's like, So Noble Ancient says, I'm no longer satisfied with thinking I can't do something. I've learned that if I really set my mind to do something, I can get it done. My absolute truth is I can. I am able and enough. table and enough. So I guess the big thing is the setting of your mind. The setting of your mind is the big thing, because I think a lot of us, that's where we fall short. We have a vague sense of what's possible for us, but we fail to set our minds. That caveat of if I really set my mind is the barrier. Because a lot of times a set mind is one that has to exclude a lot of things that would be a distraction to move forward. So that's the sticking point. How do you set your mind? Someone anonymously shares, I'm no longer satisfied with my insecurities. I need to break down the walls I've built up around myself. There you go. Mez, thank you so much for the coffee. Tim, thank you so much for the coffee. There's coffee and donuts in the chat. That's from Mez. Okay, the managers make sure that y'all take care of the managers so they can stay awake and alert. Put some coffee. So someone says that they're no longer satisfied with the plate, the fork, the knife. Hey, yo, Rod, thank you so much for the likes, fam. I appreciate it. Kaloli says, I need to stop putting people in boxes. So Alexis says, I am no longer satisfied with the daily pain of my metal ankle. I know I need to lose weight and have lost 9.5 pounds since April 22nd to have revision surgery, but need to revisit that conversation. So no more living with that pain. So Miss Awake says, I'm no longer satisfied with doing things at the last minute. My community health worker class wasn't hard, but it was just a lot of hours and class time and homework. I can't live like that again. Someone anonymously says, I am no longer satisfied with living minimal. No longer satisfied with living minimal. Yeah. Have a little bit more abundance around you. Sometimes we allow ourselves, or we get in a mode where, oh, it's okay, we're just going to get by. That's good enough. So Anonymous said, no more of that. We got cousin Carlos over on Facebook. It's good to see you, cuz. Glad to see you up and at 'em this morning, getting your day started. Dirty Chai Latte is here. Thank you so much for joining us. DCL. No, Dirty Chai Latte. We'll just say it all the way out loud. Greetings. All right. Oh, so it's only one mocha. Okay. So Emo says, I am no longer satisfied with my hair. I need to get it done. Oh man, got to get that hair did. Are we going to go for a cut, Emo? When was the last time you cut your hair? I know you have really long hair. So Ra the poet says that I'm no longer satisfied with not finishing what I started, whether it be art, poetry, going to the gym, just things for me in general. I'm no longer satisfied with not finishing. Sometimes there's some things where the progress doesn't count until you finish. Like none of it matters if you don't ship it. So I'm glad that you are shifting into that mindset state of I need to finish stuff. I need to follow through. I need to get it out the way. There are some things where you don't get to collect anything. You don't get partial credit, right? Life is not like school where they'll give you a partial credit for almost completing the assignment. No, you got to turn in the finished thing to get paid. You got to do the whole thing. So that's a good habit to get into. All right. Yeah, that plate got everybody thrown for a loop. Everybody's reading into this. This might be the response of the session right here. I'm no longer satisfied. I'm no longer satisfied with this empty plate. I gotta eat. Or I need more China. All right. So I am no longer satisfied with idle time. Dirty Child Latte says, I'm not feeling this idle time. I need to do something. So there's idle time, there's stillness. A lot of it has to do with your mind state. Sometimes it's valued to be able to sit. But eventually you got to move. Stillness. Okay. STILL. Still. Let's get ready to go to the next prompt. All right. This is related to the prompt that I had on the profile I pinned to the top of my profile yesterday. What do you intend to do that is difficult but important? Difficult but important. So I think that at some point we come to realize that ease is not the goal for some of us. I don't know. Tim says don't want to work no more. So maybe there isn't anything that you want to do that's difficult other than not work. But for some of us, there's stuff that we realize that it's worthwhile to do it. It's not going to be easy, but that's not a problem. Like, we don't need for it to be easy. We just need for it to matter. So what's something that's like that for you? What is something that maybe you are embarking upon that you know is going to be, it's going to be a stretch. It's going to be tough. It's going to require some things of you. There's some that maybe you don't even have yet. You have to grow into some things that you want to do. So what's in that? What's something that's in that category for you that maybe when you look back next year, if you were fortunate enough to invest time in to that important thing, you will see some of the growth that you envision for yourself. Because it is those difficult but important things that kind of shape our sense of purpose, I believe. So Dirty Child Latte says improve reading speed over 250 words per minute. So why you want to read so fast? Why you trying to read so fast? What are you reading? What are you reading that you need to get through so fast? I think that sometimes when you read the right stuff slowly, it's better than reading a whole bunch of stuff fast. Yeah, I like speed reading too, and then forgetting it all. Reading a book a week. Yeah, read it all and forget it all. I read very slowly because I'm constantly taking notes. So, but rock on, read that book a week. And I guess too, with a goal like that, maybe you should say, rather than saying speed reading is the goal, reading a book a week is a goal, right? That sounds like more of the goal than reading fast. Because if you read a book a week, that just might mean that you have to spend more time reading and less time doing other stuff, right? So Billy says, I'm in the progress of trying to get my first job, in the process. So getting my first job is what's important to me. It's hard, it's difficult, but it's important. I'm gonna do it. Get out there and break a leg. So the difficult thing for Mez is taking a selfie for a school assignment, making a movie poster, key art in Photoshop. I don't know why it's so hard. I don't know why it's so hard. Quash is like, hey, I need advice. I know y'all talking about something. Oh man, what's up, Quasha? So the main character is an extra. All right, we're waiting for Quash's advice request. In the meantime, let's see what Noble is talking about. I intend to accomplish my information book for my RPG Pokemon region. It's a lot of information into a 5-subject notebook, but it's important because it's a big piece of the game. All right. So Alexis says, explain to HR and my supervisors what my limitations are in my position without sounding like I can't do my job due to said limitations. It's complicated. It's difficult. It's complicated, but it's important. Ra the poet says, keep working on my doctorate degree while also trying to do some entrepreneurial work. It's difficult, but important. There you go. So Alien says, I want to learn French by 2024. Difficult, but important. There you go. Someone anonymously shares that being a single father, while learning how to mature with my surroundings is difficult, but important. So we're taking a second here, taking a breath. All right, we have 17 folks in here this morning at this point in the session. We got a couple prompts left to go in the recap. I'm grateful for all of you. And the way that you've been engaging this morning has been really encouraging. The time is moving quickly. And yeah, because everybody's plugged in, and I really appreciate that. So the question that we have at hand is difficult but important. Difficult but important. And Miss says, writing, my writing and reading for sure. It's part of my work already that I've ignored. I'm doing a year recap and I'm not satisfied with that. I'm goal setting. I think the real new year starts on a B day. The real new year starts on a B day. So, here we are. It is Wednesday, May 18th. And the start of a new year. It's the start of a new year. So I know in the chat it's Mrs. birthday. So there's that. So everybody put some cake in the chat. So I think that, Quasha, my reservations about it are not about investing the money. I'm talking about that specific thing. I looked at the list of things that you have there, and what you're trying to do that's difficult and important is voice acting. So to stay laser focused on what it is you're trying to do, you can invest in a high quality microphone, some soundproofing and soundproofing setup so that you can do specifically what it is that you're intending to do. So I don't have an aversion to investing the money, but the list of items that you listed doesn't seem like it's worthwhile given what it is that you're intending to do. So that's just my assessment as someone who works in audio. You know, that's just where I'm coming from with it. Yeah, the Blue Yeti Nano, it's not okay, Mike. I would look into something not USB. I would look into something dynamic that has better voice shielding capability. Yeah, a Blue Yeti is great for internet use, but it's not a professional quality mic for voice recording. So, you know. All right. So the difficult and important thing that Mo needs to do is the dishes. Mo needs to do the dishes. So there we go. Boots is here, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. My guess is you're probably on your way or almost at work. The situation has deteriorated rapidly. Let's get ready to go into our next prompt. All right, let's take a look. is the most misconception. How about that? It's supposed to be most common misconception. Part the typo, but it's the most common misconception that people have about your line of work or your hobby. What is the most common misconception that people have about your line of work or hobby? Let us know. Give you a couple seconds. Well, it isn't your line of work that I type. So I saw it. I see where you're going with it, but it didn't quite hit. So I was just going to let it exist in the chat. But now that you brought it up, now I'll nitpick it and say why it doesn't really work. It says spoon is my hobby. Thank you so much for the likes. I appreciate it. Kay Valerice is in the building, showing everyone love. I'm glad to have you here. So, what is the most common misconception people have about your line of work or your hobby? Or maybe you do something that people don't know anything about, so they don't have a misconception. They just don't get it. They don't have any conception. It's not a misconception. You just don't know nothing about it. All right. So 1 second here. We're going to get your responses read. All right. So let's start with Noble. The most common misconception that people have about your line of work, dishwashing, is that it's hard and grueling work. So they think that it's hard and grueling and it's not, or they don't think it's hard and grueling. Which is it? Which is it? they think it's hard and grueling, but it's not. So you don't find dishwashing to be hard and grueling? So I was born on a Thursday, if that's what y'all doing. Game design is a lot of details and a lot of work too. Hobby, aren't those specifically for kids? People think the Legos are for kids. So Noble says it's not a lot of work. It's not a lot of details and a lot of work. Game designing, it's not a lot of work and it's not hard. I don't know, Noble. Some of your responses and some of your energy in here sometimes contradicts that assessment that it's not grueling and a lot of details. So Emo says the thing that's misconceived, the misconception is that we get summers off. People think we get summers off. Contraire. Contraire. Rod the Poet says that people think that cooking at a restaurant is easy. Nope. Nope. It's not though. It's not though. Alexis says that people think that I actually train the animals. Every Uber driver has asked me that, like I have tea with the orcas on Thursdays and dinner with the sea lions on Mondays or something. They say, oh, you work there? Oh, you a trainer? Yeah, I mean, I guess sometimes, people don't have a full concept of everything that goes on at the park, as you call it. Oh man. Boots says that people think that I stand in poo-poo and put in toilets all day as a plumber. That's what I do. That's not all I do. Okay, so I do that sometimes, but that's not all I do. So Billy Hurley says, honestly, haven't found any, but I keep my ears to the sky and eyes to the floor until I do. All right, Billy. Think you might have that backwards, but all right. Sanciana, welcome and thank you for joining us. Right now, we are just kind of sharing what some of our misconceptions are about the job that we have or the hobby that we have. All right. Some misconception says, oh, I got called a baby killer, so I guess that people think I kill people, which is funny. Also, I just want to burn buildings and break windows and loot. Go vote, y'all. That's the misconception. Billy, thank you so much for the like. Alien Leo R, thank you for being here. Miss is complaining. Look, I'm not being a voice actor in here today. I'm just getting the idea of the prompts across. If you want voice acting, come to Writer's Room on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So Tim says the misconception is that their prescription is ready because they need it. That's a misconception. It's not ready just because you need it. And for your hobby, people think that you do roller derby. So, Mez says, for illustration, people say, oh my God, this tells a story. Like, duh. Also, that it doesn't make money. And photography, that it's easy or that it's not art. Those are the misconceptions. So Leo says, people think that my hobby is for fun when in reality it is a form of escape. It's not for fun, it's a form of escape. Alien says, I come in peace, but peace isn't necessarily kind or positive at all times. This type of peace comes with adaptability in order to cope with all levels of energy. All right, let's get ready to do our recap and give you an opportunity to drop some of your key takeaways for today. Give me 1 second. Let's take a look at where we've gone over the course of today's session. We started the conversation with a simple question: what can you spend time on today that will save you time tomorrow. And we're thinking about tomorrow in the broadest, most inclusive sense. What are in the tomorrows, those things that are important? What can you do to create some margin for tomorrow? And then looking at how we've grown over time, the biggest difference between who you are now and who you were a year ago was the question that goes there. What are you no longer satisfied with? What do you intend to accomplish that's difficult but important? And what's the misconceptions people have about your work? Those are the questions. Let me know if you've been here for a while, if you've been here for just a few moments. What are some of the key takeaways that you have from your time spent in session number 273 of the Morning Journal? What are you taking away from today? Dewan on Spoon. Welcome in. It's good to see you. Noble Ancient says that my key takeaway from this episode is that I am here on purpose for learning and self-reflection. I learn more for my day from here, and I'm thankful for this platform. Being here on purpose. Billy Hurley says today's key positive keeper for me is that we are all evolving and changing and growing yearly, monthly, daily, and to keep on evolving and changing into our future selves. Misconception says, no matter what people think, I'll do what I know is right without rushing at the last minute. Keep assessing growth daily. Pace yourself for healing. Alexis says, takeaway 1, empty plate. Takeaway 2, I've grown a lot this year. 3, being uncomfortable is just a way to know there is a growth opportunity there. 4, not all SeaWorld employees are trainers. Those are the takeaways. Maki, welcome in. Good morning to you. We are just doing our recap of today's session. We have takeaways from Tim. Change if you need to. More than likely, something needs to be adjusted. Can't keep just doing tune-ups if other issues need to be addressed. Can't just keep tuning it up. You got to get to the root of the problem sometimes. All right. True facts. Also, yeah, a lot of people learning things about SeaWorld. Thank you so much for the likes. I really appreciate them. We got another takeaway. Alien says, asking the right questions in the right way at the right time can make all the difference to bring humility. I embrace the humanity and it's reinforced faith. Embracing humanity. So, came right in and learned off the jump. I learned that my mental health and happiness are worth more than chasing a check. At the end of the day, that check is spelled as a British check. Maki is making those pounds, right? I don't know. We might have to make that empty plate our emoji. We have to make that plate our emoji. I have to start adding it. It's part of the lore. Oh, so you're Canadian. Okay, got it. And I think the thing about it is the person who said it was anonymous, so we don't even know who to credit. So you still have dollars here, but not dollars though. They're not real dollars. They're not real dollars. Canadian dollars are fugazi. All right. I know you just got here and I'm making fun of you. But welcome. So it's all good. It's all good. It's all love. All right. I thank you so much for the key takeaways. We ran today's session right up to the boundary. So we're going to say goodbye to the folks who are watching. And hang out with the VIPs for these last few minutes.